Your mood, your energy, your cravings, even who you're attracted to are all controlled by invisible chemical messengers in your bloodstream, influencing your personality and your day-to-day life.
Yeah, it always blows my mind how much of our health and wellness is controlled by hormones. Literally daily things like sleep, skin, hair, to huge things like metabolism, obviously reproduction, even our body's growth and development.
And there are 50 known hormones in the human body, from sex hormones to neurotransmitters like dopamine, that all ideally work together to keep the body balanced and in check. And the more we learned about them, the more critical it seemed that understanding and controlling them makes a huge difference in your life.
Yet hormone levels are notoriously hard to get checked. Usually they require a blood or urine test or a visit to an endocrinologist, for which you generally need a referral from your primary doctor.
Which is why we're super interested in learning more about how to spot if your hormone levels are off, debunking some popular myths around hormones, and learning how to improve your sex drives.
So we're talking to an expert, Donna White, author of The Hormone Makeover, who has over 30 years of experience in the field of bioidentical hormones and launched an initiative called Project 100 Million with the goal to train 100,000 medical providers and improve the health of 100 million women.
So Donna, why are stable hormone levels so difficult to maintain?
So hormones, we can't really expect them to be stable, because if you think about it, what happens with our monthly cycle? Estrogen goes up, progesterone goes up, that both all of the levels come down. So hormones are dynamic. They are going to fluctuate. Normally, then if we're under a lot of stress, well, that wreaks havoc on our hormone balance, as well as nutritional deficiencies. So there's so many variables and factors, but they are manageable.
And so I think a big question for all of us, what are the warning signs that we might have hormone imbalance?
Oh, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because unfortunately, so many people really aren't aware that some of their issues and symptoms could be coming from hormone imbalance. So I have this little quick 7-question test that I like to use.
Oh,
Here's
yeah.
the first one. Fatigue, like being tired in the afternoon, or just a low level of fatigue or low energy at night. Number 2 is poor sleep. Not able to get to sleep is one issue, and not being able to stay asleep is another issue that can be caused by hormone problems. Then number 3, foggy thinking. Can't remember what you went to the pantry for. Number 4 is mood issues, anxiety, depression, crying at commercials, irritability, being, mean one next and then crying the next. Number 5 is any of the PMS or perimenopausal or menopausal symptoms, headache or breast tenderness or bloating or cycle problems, or the menopausal hot flashes, vaginal dryness, low libido. Then number 6 is aging skin, wrinkling way too fast, way too soon. It's normal to lose 30% of your collagen going through menopause, unless you're taking care of your hormone levels, so wrinkles. And then the last one, number 7, is weight issues. Not being able to lose weight when you're doing everything right. I mean, how frustrating is that? We need to keep in mind that all of our hormones affect our metabolism.
I guess something that we were also wondering is that there's just so much misinformation about hormones out there. Like, what are the common myths that you kind of hear about hormones that aren't true?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. I so appreciate that. One of the biggest misconceptions is that hormones cause breast cancer. That is not factual. That is not based on data or research. That myth is based on one study that came out in 2002 called the Women's Health Initiative. Well, in that study, they used estrogen from pregnant mare's urine, so that was an animal-derived estrogen, and then they used synthetic progestins. They had to stop it 5 years early because the women were getting breast cancer. And oh my gosh, the media went crazy and publicized that. Hormones are terrible, but they didn't tell you what kind of hormones that they used in the study. Almost overnight, HRT usage dropped like 46%. Well-meaning, caring doctors pulled their women off hormones. And since then, we've had almost 2 decades of, like you said, misinformation. What's interesting is the same authors of that study came out 18 years later and said, hey, wait a minute. Actually, the women that were on just the estrogen actually had a 23% less risk of breast cancer. That's a total turnaround. Now, it's not just that one study. There's many other studies that corroborate this, that estrogen does not cause breast cancer.
Hormones obviously play a really big role in your weight.
Medications like Ozempic and all the other GLP-1s that are very popular right now, we know from a study that came out last year that they're most effective if hormones are balanced. Because if you have hormone levels that are imbalanced, it doesn't really matter what you do, which type of diet, whether it's intermittent fasting or these injectable weight loss medications or diet shakes or whatever weight loss program, the results are always best if your hormones are in balance.
What are your thoughts on birth control? It's obviously a very tricky topic to navigate because it obviously does affect your hormone levels so much, but at the same time, it's necessary.
That is a loaded question. Every synthetic hormone has side effects. It's the way it is. It's borne out in the literature. Oral synthetic hormones, they're going to have more side effects because they're going through, what's called first pass metabolism. They're going through the liver. They're going to have more side effects than, let's say, an IUD, like a Mirena IUD, which does have some synthetic progestin in it, but it's not going through your system. So I guess I would say that that's a cleaner option. There is one form of natural birth control that is FDA approved, that is an option for women, but I would say try not to use the oral unless you have to.
Is PMS always an indication of a hormone imbalance, or is it a normal thing that every woman experiences before their period anyway, even if it's hormones are fine?
Good question. Because sometimes when it's so common, we begin to think, oh, it's normal, but it's really not. We weren't meant to suffer every single month. It's not normal. We shouldn't have it. We should just sort of sail through our cycles, do pretty well. Nobody really wants to have one every month, but it shouldn't be miserable. So yes, if women, your audience, have PMS, something is not quite right. Quite frequently, it's a progesterone deficiency. So we're supposed to make progesterone every month to help counterbalance the estrogen that our body makes. And then also nutritional deficiencies can prohibit us from making enough progesterone. B complex vitamins, vitamin E is important. Fish oil supplements.
So we know that hormone irregularities also play a really big factor in women's sex drives and libido.
Well, from a hormonal standpoint, if we don't have enough estrogen as we're perimenopausal or menopausal, that tissue dries out, vaginal dryness. We're more susceptible to urinary tract infections. And the tissue can thin out. If it hurts, who wants to do it? If it hurts, you would be surprised at how many women really are testosterone deficient. It's linked to so many symptoms such as depression, or oral birth control pills cause testosterone deficiency in women. Just throwing that out there. He unloaded the dishwasher. He brought the flowers. He did all the things right. Date night was amazing. You don't feel it. The sensation that there can be, inability to have orgasms or to enjoy sex due to the low testosterone levels. So there's the can do and the want to. And testosterone does, for some women, help the thought of a fabulous evening go through our mind. It does help stimulate libido.
And so how should women at any age go about checking their hormones? Like, what are the first steps?
So there's different ways to test hormones. You can test hormones through the traditional blood draw from your arm, and that is good. So there's salivary testing. There's dried urine, where you urinate on a little pH strip, finger prick test called a capillary blood spot. So there's different ways to check hormones, but here's what's most important important to remember when looking at hormone levels is that we really need to look at all of the hormones. It's not just about estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. It's also very important to check all of the thyroid hormones and then the stress hormones, cortisol, DHEA, and insulin.
Ren and I were talking about how that is difficult sometimes. Can you just ask your general practitioner to give you a saliva or urine test? Like, how do you get a full hormone level test?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked that. And it seems like it would be easy. Unfortunately, ladies, practitioners that aren't very well trained in hormone balancing protocols, because they're not taught that in med school, aren't going to be your best source to go get your hormone levels tested. You really have to work with somebody that understands this to get a comprehensive type of testing.
Glad you said that, to explore other avenues. And one of them, we want to hear about. You run a training academy.
I started something called the BHRT Training Academy about 6 years ago. And what we do, we certify medical providers, nurse practitioners, PAs, MDs, DOs, health coaches, medical providers in how to get women's hormones back into balance. We are an institute of higher learning. Now we're in 6 different countries. I'm on a mission to train medical providers because women like you, they're demanding answers.
Well, thank you so much for walking us through that. And I think so many of us are living just kind of accepting like this, and you're validating that they don't have to keep going on like this.